Welcome to Your World Within Daily. I'm Eddie Pinero. In this episode, we're going to talk about the idea of moving in when other people are moving out. Talk about a quote from Warren Buffett and how it's, sure, an investment strategy, but perhaps the most important life philosophy. How are you guys doing on this beautiful Saturday morning? I have an incredible message this morning. As I was waiting for the coffee to brew, I thought of a quote that we all know, and actually a concept that we all know, we're all familiar with. But I started to wonder, hey, maybe this is beyond the realm of investing, as Warren Buffett describes it. Maybe there's more to this. And that's what I want to talk about. And I'll start with the quote. Warren Buffett says, "Be fearful when others are greedy and greedy when others are fearful." Right? He's a big advocate, of when people are acting emotional, when people are pulling their money out, that's a good time to invest. It's sort of going against the herd, against the grain. And I started to think, well, maybe that's what life is about. I started to think about the big podcasts, right? The people that have the big guests on and, the CEOs, the actors, the people that we put on a pedestal and we commend them for their accolades. What are those conversations more or less? It's listening to them talk about the things they did that most people don't. It's where they found their advantages, where they place their energy in a way that is abnormal, right? They live on the fringes. And I think more or less, I could sit here and make a valid argument that being great is about living on the fringes. It's about being on the outside of the bell curve. Mark Twain has a quote that he says, whenever you find yourself on the side of the majority, it's time to pause and reflect. Same concept. Not because people are, bad, but because collectively, folks care about specific things, right? Self-preservation, survival, safety. And they're emotional, right? We are emotional beings. And so to live outside that is to see life from an angle that may propel you in a way beyond just the everyday safety. I remember Kobe Bryant talking about, this is an interview, I watched maybe 2 years ago. And more or less, he's talking about how he lived on the fringes, how he would look for advantages that most people didn't. And he had it calculated, down to a science, to the point where he knew most people sleep in. Most people, particularly in the NBA with the amount of money they have, the social circles, whatever, I'm not familiar with that world, but they go to clubs, they do certain things. And he knew that if he got up an extra 2 hours early and he took X amount of shots over a period of 10 years, that would equate to, just a substantial advantage. And that's what life is about. That's where greatness is manufactured, in those little crevices. Again, the fringes. I think most people, and I'm saying this, understand there's some subjectivity to this, right? Because this is my experience. This is something that, I'm proud of the fact that I've sort of clawed my way out of this thinking, but it's the first thing I revert back to, right? I'm always consciously telling myself to move beyond it. The idea that life provides parameters and we play nicely inside them, right? There are people that know, people that make the rules, people that have it figured out, and we exist within that realm, under that umbrella. And the reality is, it's just not so, right? People are just people, and no one has all the answers. In fact, I would say that's been one of the most eye-opening things I've experienced. Over this past year, the people I've done work with, the people I interact with on a day-to-day basis, like I talk to people now daily that have tens of millions of dollars, that have millions of followers on social media, right? The vast majority of them are unremarkable. I mean, it's the truth. It's the truth. We tend to idolize, to put people on a pedestal for having particular things. They are unremarkable. They had the courage to try things that most didn't, right? And they found advantages. They sought out, let's say, an existence that was on the outside of the bell curve, that was on the fringe of life, right? And so my point is obviously not to drag anyone or say, whatever. It's essentially saying, look, life is about finding opportunity. And in the aggregate, in the masses, the herd mentality, there is very little of that. There is safety. You can blend in. You can live nicely. But on the outside, the externality, that's where you have the evolution of insanity. They're crazy, they're crazy, they're crazy, they're abnormal. Oh, wait, they succeeded. How did you do that? Right? It's outside the bell curve, existing in this microcosm of insanity. So I'm going to wrap it up with that concept one more time. Completely spelled out, black and white. When most people run in, you run out. When most people run out, you run in. Where is your advantage? For Kobe, it was the morning. It was that 2 hours, those 500 shots, 7 days a week, times 20 years that put him here and everyone else here. What is that for you? How can you think different from the herd? That's where the good stuff lives. So I hope you guys have an amazing Saturday. If you enjoy this, subscribe, rate, leave a review. That helps me get it out to the world. And that, as you know, is my mission. So thank you for that. And I'll catch you guys tomorrow.